Darela himself. Darela himself. He's here too. I see you. Atterh is here. The man himself is here. Dr. Atterh is here. So it's my life in medical school. The freshest doctor is here. He is here. The freshest doctor is here. It's my life in medical school. Today, Kwame, today you tell us everything. Everything.
No
Everything.
problem. I'm an open book. I'm an open book. So
Because the way people are trooping in, I'm sure it's because of you.
I'm surprised. You see, funny
Because,
enough, I was a little occupied, and then I just kept receiving calls from people, and they're like, "Where are you? You need to come online. You need to come online." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm finally here."
yeah. So let's begin. Let's begin. Let's
Let's
begin.
begin.
The bossu himself. Today, I'm going to give us all the slangs, the slurs, the everything.
Oh,
English
oh,
words,
oh!
everything.
Why you want to do like
The
that? Why you
Chinese,
want to do like
everything. I'm going to
that?
give everything to us. Even the Spanish and the Russian language. How do you say? Is it previous,
You
right?
are being too kind. You are being too kind. You are overhyping me. You are being
Oh,
too kind.
nah. Everybody knows you. So
Oh,
Kwame, let's
okay.
start.
What do you mean let's start. Let's start.
Let's start. So Kwame, tell us about yourself. Who is Kwame? Who is Kwame? We want to know who Kwame is.
Okay, so for those who don't know me, my full name is Atterh Kwame Tetteh. I probably go by Kwame because many people find it a bit difficult pronouncing my first name, which is Atterh. I don't know how difficult it is, but hey, this is the world we live in. So yeah. So I'm born to a family of five, a lovely family of five. I have um, three siblings, myself, and then my parents. That is five excluding me. So I have a twin brother for people who don't know, and
Wow.
then other siblings. I have two lovely parents. Even though sometimes, truth be told, they can get a bit annoying, especially in my adolescent years. But I mean, everyone is going through a similar thing. So yeah. Um, I was born and raised in Accra. I
Kai.
had my basic education from Ashimose Primary School, and then I moved to Anilisa International. Um, then I moved to Glow Lamp International for my junior higher education.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate enough to have my senior high school education at Presbyterian Boys Secondary School,
Kai.
Lincoln,
Or that there.
is which is the best school, boys' school in the country. No doubt about it.
Please,
I
so.
don't care what anyone
Please,
thinks I'm
so.
here.
I'm sure people will start asking you questions. Now, man, we see you, Dr. Right.
So yes, I was fortunate enough to have my senior higher education at Presbyterian Boys Secondary School, Legon. I read science, general science, with biology. Then, after senior higher education, you know, we had an issue, Form 4, Form 3 issue for those who are aware, and university placements became a thing. I was fortunate enough to get admission into UCC to read medicine. But then, you see, at that time, I was very young, wild, and adventurous. I wanted to, see what the world had for me. So I turned down that offer, and then I went to Ukraine for
So
my
Kwame, hold up with that
second study.
story. Hold up with that
Okay.
story. That story there is very deep.
Okay.
Oh. That story is very deep. That is what people are waiting for. So Kwame, how did the inspiration start? Dr. Steven, I salute you. Dr. Shen, I
Okay.
salute you.
So.
How did it? Tell me. Let's know about the inspiration. Like why
Okay.
medicine?
Okay. 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 So for as long as I could remember, when I was a little boy, I when I go to I used to be someone who falls sick a lot. I used to
Mm-hmm.
always be going to the hospital. And then anytime I go to the hospital, those earlier days, Rage Hospital was the then Rage Hospital was my go-to. And I get there and I realize that there are so many people in worse off situations than myself. And then, with the whole situation of not enough doctors and people have to wait in the queues and all those things, it just did something to me. I felt like, oh, I wanted to be in a position to sort of help
Okay.
people who are ill. Aside from the fact that you see, I kept going back to the hospital, and it's like no doctor was able to correctly diagnose me. I was just being treated for my symptoms. So, in one vein, I wanted to find a cure for myself. That's what I was thinking.
I
That if
see.
I became a doctor, I could be able to find a cure for whatever it is that I was experiencing. And then, in turn, be able to help other people who are not fortunate or who were not fortunate enough to also have diagnosis made for them. Apparently, my condition was chronic sinusitis.
Oh, I see.
That was my condition. And I had, I was exposed to so many allergens around me, and I had no idea at that time that those were the ones that were the precipitating factors for my chronic condition, my chronic infection of my sinuses. I had no idea at that time. And for our system back then, some 15, 20 years ago, the doctor to patient ratio was pretty low. So you wouldn't even have the time needed, to be able to sit down with a doctor in a consulting room for him to actually accurately take his time to diagnose you. So
Exactly.
that's how it started for me. That's how it started for me. And then I just kept going on. Anytime my relatives or elder people ask me, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? I just tell them, oh, I want to be a medical doctor. I want to be a medical doctor. I want to be a medical doctor. And I became more like a rhyme. I just, went with it. I mean, that's what I want to do. So I just kept going. I just kept going. And so that's what informed my decision to go to medical school. I must admit, the thought of going to medical school was scary because you hear stories like Charlie, you have to learn all the time and you don't have a life, you don't have any breathing space and all those things. So I considered changing my
Your
career
program.
path. Yes, I considered changing my career path. I At the time I thought of petroleum engineering, I thought of business administration,
Mm-hmm.
I thought of going to just read sociology and then psychology, like just get it all over and done with. But then no, with encouragement from my parents, my family, they more or less like kept me in check, and then yeah, I ended up in medical school. So
Oh,
yes,
nice, 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 nice. So let's talk about the journey itself. Because
okay.
one time you personally narrated your story to me, and I was so inspired. Like the Kwame who never gives up. A Kwame who never gives up. So let's start from Ukraine. Tell me about Ukraine. Like how did you
Okay,
get there?
so after secondary school, I was able to secure admission to Donetsk Medical University. That was in the Ukraine, and I mean, I was so excited because that was going to be the first time on the plane leaving the shores of Africa. I mean,
Mm.
I was adventurous at that time, so yes. So I got to Ukraine, I was met with bitter cold. I mean, bitter cold. Temperatures were freezing. We were in the minuses. I think it was minus 15 at the time that I landed. I only went with an African print blazer and then my jeans.
African
So I was
showboy.
basically shivering in my boots. So yes, we went through the process, we registered, and we started school. Fortunately or unfortunately, I had to do 1 year preparation med, what we call preparation medicine, pre-med, in Russian language,
Wow.
not in English. So I had to take my biology, my chemistry, my physics, my math, um, and then had to take Ukrainian literature and then the Ukrainian language, so the Russian language. And I did everything in Russian. So then you would have me in chemistry class, and then our lecturer at the time would be talking about some names of acids. I don't know if my Russian comes back. You have to learn everything from scratch. I mean, you learn different forms of or for different advanced levels of physics that I hadn't even seen before. So initially it was a struggle. Initially it was a struggle. Adjusting to a very cold country, adjusting to the fact that people were not speaking English, then adjusting to the fact that you had to take your courses in the Russian language and not in English. So it became a challenge initially, but then with time things got better. Then I was sailing through. But then the unfortunate happened.
All right. So hold up.
The
So
Ukraine had experienced,
hold
yeah.
up. So the unfortunate story, that one is another nice story. Some nice line over there. This is your
Mm-hmm.
story, and when you say it, I'm telling you, so many people understand the reason why we don't give up and why you are telling us the story. So, Mr. Johnson, I see you. He says that staying focused is like a laser. So you just keep focusing. This man is actually one of the people who groomed me.
That is,
All right, so Kwame, let's talk about the
wow.
whole unfortunate story in Ukraine. How did it
Okay.
start? What happened?
So at the time, to the best of my knowledge, the Ukrainian citizens had an issue with um, the government of the day, and they also had interference with the West or the NATO forces. And there were so many conspiracy theories, there were so many speculations. I wouldn't want to get into it, but what I witnessed was they were able to oust the then president of the Ukraine, and he had to flee or more or less run away to neighboring Russia for refuge. Now, before he did that, he used his executive powers to seek Russian help. And so we had the Ukrainian country divided into two. We had the east and then the west.
Okay.
The west was closer to the Russian border, and then the east was closer to the European part of the world. I think it's either Poland or one of those Scandinavian countries. So you had a split divided into two. You had the west trying to go to move to Russia, and then the east trying to move to Europe. Now we had the Crimean Peninsula, which was annexed by Russia in one of their political things. So the fear was that Russia was coming for the whole of Ukraine. Now
Okay.
people in the west, people in the east, sorry, who were more Europeanized, if I should use that term, were didn't want the whole Russian thing. So then you had rebel groups forming up, and then they were
Mm-hmm.
fighting over control of the cities and all those things. I mean, so at a point in time, you have rebel forces with who were armed on the streets, exchanging fire, dropping explosives, and chasing people. I mean, all that unrest. I mean, schools had to be shut down because in some states in the West, they had the rebels had taken over university, foreign students' buildings, and all those things. So the whole West became started to become unsafe for foreign students. So schools were shut down, schools were closed. We were asked to move to the east, which was better. And the funny thing was the confusion started in the east, then moved to the west, and it stayed there. So the east recovered, and then they went back to school, everything normalized. And then so we in the west we had to move, but then situations were unsafe. And then after lengthy discussions with my parents, we decided it was best for me to come home until things normalized before I go back to them. So I came to Ghana,
So
which
wait,
is another mini story on. But
Kwame, how did
if
you
I
get to
start,
Ghana? We want to know how you
okay,
got to Ghana. That part.
okay. So at that time, we had an international airport in our city, but then the rebels seized it and then destroyed some of the runways. So the airport was closed. So the nearest possible was to move to the capital, Kiev, to get an international flight home. Now, we had the railway tracks that were working, but unfortunately, the rebels also seized and then decided to blow up the tracks. So now trains were not running. Now, the only other option was to go to the capital by bus. Now, the journey in total took 13 hours. And for a journey of 13 hours, we had multiple stops. I think about 15 to almost 20 stops because you need to go through town after town after town. And then at each stop, you'd have rebels coming in, you'd have military and Ukrainian military forces coming into the bus, demanding for identification. I mean, with their guns and everything. They look at your passport, they take some people off the bus who they suspect to be either pro militia or pro military forces, and then the bus goes on. So it's like at every stop, they take somebody off and then we go. At every stop, they take someone off and we go. Now, Ukraine is not known for its kind gestures or welcoming nature to foreigners, especially the black people. Some may
Mm-hmm.
say they are racist. So imagine I was with my brother at the time, so imagine you have two black people on the bus. Hey Reggie, I see you. You had two black people on the bus, two African people on the bus, and it's filled with Ukrainians. And then they're coming in, they're scrutinizing your passport. They are looking into your faces, shining torchlights into your faces, dead in the night. I mean, it was scary. It was something else. But fortunately, we were able to reach Kiev just in time to be able to catch our flight, and then off we went. I mean,
So
came to
fortunate.
Ghana.
You were
Yeah,
so fortunate. So I'm sure.
it was
So let's talk about the Ghana transitioning to China issue.
okay. So when I got to Ghana, I mean, I was hopeful that things would resolve in the next few weeks. Fortunately, the whole thing coincided with summer holidays. So I had
Okay.
finished my first year and we were on, I finished the pre-med course actually, and we were on, sorry, summer holidays. And if we had resumed in September, I'd have started my first year of medical school. So I was home somewhere from May, June, um, hoping that situations would resolve before September when the new academic year started. But unfortunately, things dragged on and got worse and worse and worse. Those who were fortunate enough to be in Ukraine at that time and moved to the east were able to resettle and then transfer their credits to new universities and then continue with their education. But some of us
Okay.
who were out of country at that time were not able to go back because they had a thing. Your exit point, your point of departure should be your point of entry when you are coming back because of residence permit issue. And at that time, it wasn't safe because then the fight had moved to the capital, Kiev. So Kiev was also under siege. It was not safe to go back. So
All right.
we sat down as a family, had a discussion, and then we agreed that it was not safe for me to go back. So that ended the Ukraine chapter. I was in Ghana for 6 months, or yeah, 6 months, of
Mm-hmm.
which I considered dropping medical school in total and then just picking and choosing any course in any private university to apply for the academic year. I almost did that, but then my dad stepped in and said, "No, boy, I would not allow you to make this decision." you will go to medical school and you need to find a way to get into medical school. So the other option was to wait for the next academic year because at that time the universities had already sold out their forms. I didn't think of going to school in Ghana, so I didn't even make preparations for
Mm.
buying medical school forms. So at that time it was only private schools where universities where you do your business administration and your pharmacy for 4 years, bachelor in pharmacy and all those other things. So those are the options I was considering. So I spoke to when I was in Ukraine, I kept in touch with some of my old schoolmates from PSEC. I mean, the
Okay.
other years. Uh, I spoke to a couple of them, and then I ended up speaking to a classmate of mine who usually sat behind me. He was always troublesome. I mean, he was very controversial, the most controversial boy in the class. I mean, at that time, we've had
Yeah.
a bit of run-ins and disagreements, but then I just said, oh, let me just speak to him and see what happens. So I spoke to him, and then he told me, oh, if I want to come to China, he can help me come to China. I mean, yeah, I can come and do medical school in China. And I'm like, wait, really? Are you serious? I was like, yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. So I spoke to my dad, and it took a bit of convincing, and then he finally agreed.
Mhm.
So I linked up with Kelvin,
Ah, he's here.
Dr.
He's
Kulu,
watching.
now Dr. Kulu. And then we started the process for me to get admission into Haven North University. But at the time, I was so anxious because, I mean, the whole period of admissions had more or less elapsed, and then I was pondering, oh, will it work out? Will it not work out? If not, I'd have to stay in Ghana for another year. I mean, all that pressure, the social pressure, was just getting to me. So I constantly keep calling him, Charlie, when it's in the camp, when it's in the camp, boy, one level, when it's in the camp. And and he just kept reassuring me, oh, don't worry, don't worry. I think I gave him that period was one of the worst periods in his life because I kept calling him. And because of the time difference, sometimes I end up calling him very, very, very early. I mean, sometimes 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m., and then I'm calling constantly. But he still had patience, and then he kept responding to me, talking to me, and then finally I was able to secure admission. My documents came. I went to the embassy, which was also another hassle, but fortunately I got the visas. And I say this every time and no one believes me. I got my passport back from the Chinese embassy on a Friday at 5 p.m. On Saturday at 11, I went to the airport and I took the next flight to Beijing. And when I say this, people will say that, oh, there's money at home, so you don't have a problem. I mean, you can just book a flight.
I see.
If I should tell you the struggles that I had to go through at home, I mean, these are pretty personal, put them so
No, no, no. Let's
out
let's
there. But
let's keep the
I,
family issues.
not, I actually went through a lot, and then I was able to leave the country on Saturday. My plane took off at 3 p.m. and then I landed in Beijing the following day after 14 hours.
Okay, so let's
So
talk
that was
about
how I got into China.
Kwame. Wait, I want to know what was your expectation? Like
Yeah.
China, 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 China. What were you expecting?
At the time when anytime I hear or I think of China, I always suspected these ancient buildings that we normally see in Chinese movies. They have those red lanterns and bells, and it look more like should I say pagoda or something. This ancient kind of thing where you have people using bicycles and donkeys, and martial arts, kung fu, climbing the mountains, and all those things. That was what I was expecting actually. But then when I landed in Beijing airport, I mean Beijing capital, I was blown away. It was marvelous. I mean the place was beautiful. Hey Abby, I know, currently Abby, don't worry, we'll talk backstage. I mean, Beijing was amazing, amazing. You come out and you see the whole place looking all posh and clean, and it actually blew my mind. To be honest, it actually blew my mind. Unfortunately for me, it was cold, and I only came again. I came to China with a blazer, the same blazer that I took to Ukraine, and jeans. So I also ended up shivering in my boots when I was in Beijing, waiting for Dr. Kelvin to come pick me up from the airport. So it was more like deja vu all happening again.
I'm sure next
So
time you even if you get a bag of coats, you carry.
I mean, at that time, if I had to skin a deer and use its hide as to give me warmth, I think I would have done that. Honestly, I think I would have done
All
that
right. So
because it was
let's talk
freezing.
about
It
first
was
year,
freezing.
second year in China. Like first year, second year in China.
Okay, so when I came to China, it was also a bit of a struggle because I arrived a semester later than anticipated. I mean, the semester started, or the year, academic year started in September, but I got to China in January. So they had finished the first semester, and then they were having, because of the late arrivals, fortunately, I wasn't the only one. We had to, do a mock or a mock up semester for the people coming so they could be able to catch up into the second semester. So I didn't have, whereas my classmates were on winter break. I had to still go to class to catch up more or less. And the funny thing, it was really annoying because I went to a country which spoke one language, which was um, Russian. And then I now come to a different country and have to learn a different language, which is Mandarin, Chinese. Hey, Simba Gopi, I see you. I had to learn Mandarin, and I mean, it was. I mean, I felt like I had to start all over again from square one because we had to do my Chinese language course, and I was told I had to write HSK, and then before I can be able to start my actual course, which was supposed to be in English. And apparently, the HSK examination was something else. The people were just speculating, and then you come to class and you see people like St. George and Joan Yale, and they are writing Chinese characters in
Catch.
class, and they are responding. I mean, at that time we had Fu Lao She coming to teach us. We had Hong Lao Shi, and then they'll come and they'll be like, Ni hao, ni men hao ma? And then everyone was like, oh, wo men hao, and all those things. And I'm like, what is this nonsense that these people are saying? When am I going to make? When am I going to be able to understand? I mean, the characters were even annoying. There was no alphabet anywhere. At least with Russian, there's some form of alphabet so you can recognize something. But in Chinese characters, it was something else. So
I was
it was tough.
told that in Chinese
Mhm.
alphabet, one character means four things, depending on the tone. Is it true?
And they are like, oh, especially this particular word. Um, oh, there's this first word that I learned. It was Kelvin who taught me. Apart from me, how it was like, yes, it was like, I want you to buy water. Apparently, there are several ways of saying it. You can say 我想卖水. You can say 我要卖水. You can say 我要水 or 我像水 or something. I mean, it was pretty annoying. And you had one character and it had four different meanings, four different tonations, and then four different sounds. So you then have what there was a rhyme they were singing. Ba 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 something like that. I mean for the different positions and oh Lord, it was something else. And those who schooled in China would attest to that. I mean the
Oh, Dr. Kwame is having a little problem with his network. I'm sure he'll be with us soon. It's my life in medical school, and Kwame is telling us something interesting. He's just giving us his nice story. My boss said, Kojo, I see you. I always salute and respect you. Dr. Reginald, Dr. Chinese, oh, free tips, free Chinese tips.
Hello, 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 hello. It's quite unfortunate. I moved out of Accra today, so somewhere in the village, and the network reception here is bad. So pardon me.
Kwame, let's talk about how you were able to blend studies and life on campus. Like, we want to know, like, that steady drive. It's not easy in medical school because everybody feels you are
Yes,
supposed to be studying every day. Tell us,
true,
how do you
true,
blend?
true, true. It was pretty difficult. I mean, aside the Chinese thing, which I mean, after HSK, I was successful, so I was able to continue. I don't know if anyone can hear me. So yes, when we started with our basic sciences, biochemistry, microbiology, anatomy, systemic anatomy, regional anatomy, um, the others, it was really difficult. It was really 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 difficult because you had teachers like Jason who would more or less terrorize you. I think that's the word I will use. He was a terrorist because you had him locking the classroom doors. I mean, we had to walk through the cold to come to school. He should be a bit considerate, despite the fact that he was there on time to teach. Some of us had to walk from various distances through the cold. We had to take our time to get there. Sometimes it will snow, the whole road will be slippery, you'll be falling down, but you still have to get up and then go. But then we were able to finish that part of his lecture. And studying was always an issue. Look, anyone who tells you studying is easy, anyone who tells you studying is easy is lying to you because studying is not easy. Sitting down, reading one thing over and over again until it sticks before you can be able to move on, it's not an easy thing. And here's a case where you had 7 courses, 9 courses, and there were huge courses in the semester that you had to study and understand. There were different concepts. And I mean, even though some were just building upon what we did from our senior high school, but there were some were also totally different concepts. And I must admit, sitting down studying often, all the time, it was difficult. It was difficult. I think I was not able to do it. If I'm going to be frank, I wouldn't come on here then lie and tell you that and it was easy and Charlie, you can do it. Just sit down and learn. My brother, you are deceiving yourself. It is difficult. It is difficult. You need to accept that fact now, and then that is the only way you can be able to find a remedy and then move on. So I had a steady timetable, I had a steady routine, but I found it very difficult keeping up, especially in the summer when the days are long. I mean, you can have the sun up as late as 8 p.m. and then
Mm-hmm.
there's still sun in the sky. Once it's steady, you can go out and go and walk. And here's the case where you're in a different country, a new country, where things are not as it were back home. There are so many beautiful buildings. I mean, if you even get down from your accommodation and you walk and you look at your surroundings, that alone is a tourist attraction.
Kai.
That alone is enough to keep you occupied, let alone actually moving through town, interacting with the folks, um, getting how do you call it in touch and talking to the natives, picking up a bit and pieces of their culture and their understanding. I mean, it was a lot to deal with. So for me, studying was not easy. but I had to do it. It
Okay,
was
so
something that I had to do because I knew that if I was not studying, there was no way I could make it through. So I
I
had
see.
to study.
So tell us about winter also. You just spoke about summer, the studies in winter. I want to know about that.
You can imagine. Here, with small Hamatan, we say, oh, the weather is good for sleeping. I can't wake up early. I'll go to school late. And you have temperatures that are 7 degrees below zero, 20 degrees below zero, as much as 31 degrees below zero. And that's the coldest I think we got in Janjaka City where my school was. So imagine the whole place is cold, chilled. You are inside, you don't even have an AC, but your temperature in AC is like 12. You are freezing, and you think you can sit down to study. My brother, you are lying. You will sleep. You will sleep.
You have to spare.
You will sleep. And
I
and,
see.
and the way the whole structure was the academic structure was in China, you end up having most of your classes in the winter where it is cold and you would expect to be at home in the heat and warm and under the cover of your comforters and your blankets and all that. You would have to walk through the snow, walk through the rain, and go to class. Freezing temperatures. Come on. Some of us at some point we decided not to go to the class again. We would do distance learning. We would
Social
wait.
distance.
Social distancing. Some of us started practicing social distancing from an early time. So this whole COVID thing is more like a cakewalk. I mean, you just have to take the PPTs and make sure you go through it before the next class. Otherwise, you'll be left behind. And I mean, you can imagine you are taking care of yourself. You have to do your own shopping. You have to do your own cleaning. You have to go and do basically everything, and then you have to study on top. And people think, oh, it's easy, but trust me, it is not.
It's not easy.
Coupled with living with other people, your roommates will be getting on your nerves. They'll be annoying you. They'll put you in a foul mood. You wouldn't even want to look at the book because already reading your anatomy and reading your microbe and your biochemistry, it's annoying. Let alone you are already bored with your roommate, and then you are going to read again. I mean, it's something else. It wasn't easy. It wasn't
Kwame,
easy.
tell us about the fun part. Let's go to the fun part. The fun part. The
The
fun
fun
part.
part.
Yes. How were you in the entertainment in China? Some shaking and things. You get it. You have to shake
Okay,
yourself.
okay, okay. So many of you know me. When it comes to enjoyment, there, I don't use it to play.
Doctor
So
enjoyment.
enjoyment was was a major part of my routine. I mean, after all the stress, you need to de-stress. So I at the time when I came to China initially, I was with Dr. Kelvin, and he used to sing at a bar, an African American owned bar called The Joint. It was one of the popular spots in the city at the time. So I used to go with him to watch him sing in at the joint. That's how it started for me. I just used to go and watch him sing because sometimes going alone, he felt like he needed company, so he would take me along. I'll go and sit there for 2 hours watching someone sing and all that. So at some point, I started getting bored with that. It started getting boring. So then my circle of friends grew bigger, and then I met with some of the other guys who were also, party boys or party freaks. So occasionally we would go to the joint, we would turn up, I mean, we would get turned, especially during the weekends. From
Mm-hmm.
Friday, Saturday, we would go out to the joint, we would hang out, we would dance, I mean, do everything. And then, Saturday we continue. I mean, till the early morning, go home, sleep, and then wake up again, go back, continue again. Me,
Hi.
yes.
Weekend
And as,
vibe.
and as serious as I was with my studies, I was also serious with enjoyment. That's
Yeah.
one deal.
You have to balance it.
So, of course, the equation has to be balanced. So the amount of energy I put in studying, I also put that same amount of energy in having fun.
The healing
And I
process.
think that is what took me through because we heard of students who cracked under the pressure and they were sent home or they had to go home. But some of us just kept going. All of us in one way or the other had extracurricular activities to keep us going. People were singing in church, people were doing drama, people were doing dancing, people were doing organizing events and all those things. But me, I just wanted to go and dance and dance and dance till
Aye.
I was tired. I mean,
More
I was
dancing.
tired. And the ironic thing is, I don't even know how to dance, but you see me. I
Ah,
don't care if you laugh at me. I will do what I want to do on the dance floor. And if I'm satisfied, I'll go and sleep.
that's all. That's all. So Kwame, tell us, transitioning from China to Ghana for internship, how was the feeling? And tell us about the Ghana experience. What
So,
made you feel like you
so
fit?
okay, okay. So coming back home was something that I was looking forward to and dreading at the same time. Mm, in the sense that we kept hearing stories that Ghana, I mean, medicine in Ghana, Charlie, they expect you to do this, they expect you to do that. But it wasn't so in China. In China, we were not so strict, especially in my school. We're not so strict like the way medical school in Ghana was. So it was something I was looking forward to because I was going to connect with some of my friends that had left for in ages and we're going to have a lot of fun. And at the same time, I was dreading the whole hospital experience because I felt like I was not up to task. I mean, I had not met the requirements, the required standards. Um, but all the same, I came. I spoke to my uncle who actually works at 37. He's also Dr. Tetteh at the time, and he encouraged me. Was like, "Oh, don't worry, just come, and then I mean, you don't need to do anything extra. Just come and then study. Just come and study. Everything will be fine." So I more or less like just went in. I went in head first to see what the hospital had for me. And believe you me, I had a total, I mean, a rude awakening, if I should put that, had a rude awakening because I realized that medicine was bigger than what I thought it actually was. Medicine was bigger than what I thought it actually was. It was not just about reading in books and being able to memorize what the books tells you, but actually to convert and put that into clinical practice, where you would use that to save the life of your patient who is lying. It was great, but we started picking up some of the basic and rudimentary skills needed to address and then take care of the patient. So all in all, I would say it was good. It was a good experience, and I would advise anyone who is, I mean, outside studying, be it China, Ukraine, Russia, Cuba, wherever, to try and find some time to come and then get bits and pieces of the practicality of medicine. The practicality of medicine. In China, we had limited patient contact, and I think that was where we had an issue. But here, we had all the patients there, and they needed people to help them. So this was where I basically got most of my diagnostic skills, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning because
Sure.
there's still a lot that I don't know. So it was all in all, it was a good experience. I mean, you would go on ward rounds. The term was washed. You'll be washed and made to look stupid. because you think you don't know anything, and they make you think you don't know anything. After 6 years of medical school, but then you'd look at situations like that and say, oh, that's a learning curve. It means I need to put in much more effort. I need to pull up my weight. I need to actually press on, move forward. So it gave me sleepless nights at some point, but I mean, we're still soldiering on, still soldiering on.
So who motivated you in the hospital? Let's look for your motivators. Who said, "Oh, you can do this. You can like tell us the people we want to know."
Okay, so people who more or less impacted my uncle, Dr. Tetteh, would always say that, oh, yo, yeah, adeɛ na mommra na wohia biribi a mɛkyerɛ mo mɛnhwɛ wode bisa me, you know, and if you get close to him and you ask him to help you in one area or the other, he would do that wholeheartedly. I mean, without a pinch. The general surgeon, Dr. Brady, was inspiring. It was really inspiring. I mean, he had these. I was fortunate enough to have one of these minor tete-a-tete conversations with him where he made me aware that he actually understood the situation we were in as foreign trained medical doctors and more or less like gave guidelines on how to be able to surmount some tasks that looked impossible. Um, then Dr. Maria in Peace, she was also pretty nice. She was also encouraging. I mean, I'd come as early as 7 a.m. to meet her for some discussions when I was doing my PET rotation. When I was doing my PET rotation, and she would just say, "Hey, you guys, I'm here. Oh. If you come, I'll teach you." And it was true. It was true because I learned some basic pediatric examinations, general examinations from her in one of our early morning discussions or meetings. She changed my whole outlook on pediatric history taking. Dr. Japong, Major Major Dr. Japong was also very instrumental in that regard. Um,
Hmm?
then in urology, Dr. Yegbe. Oh Lord. I mean the stories about that man.
I know, right?
But then when I was in his team, I realized he was not what people actually said he was. He was also encouraging me and then inspiring me. I mean, it's time to explain every little thing into detail to help more or less us on my team at the time. So Dr. Egbe was also cool. He also had an impact. So if I know, I mean, I credit all my knowledge in urology to him. Aside from what I read in the books, Dr. Egbe actually taught me a lot. And then our very own Dr. Inaku in public health, people at the time used to make jokes that I looked like him, or I more or less like would be like
Are you
him.
sure?
Dr. Inaku was also Dr. Inaku was also very instrumental in public health. I
Okay.
mean, he was always on my case when I was in his team at the time. He was always on my case because I was fortunate enough to be the group leader of my team at the time. So I had to liaise with him more often than not. Um yeah, yeah. So I would say I've probably forgotten or I didn't mention some doctors. Not that they didn't have any impact on me. They all did. I mean, my experience in the hospital in general was. I mean, I was impressed with myself
Okay.
coming out and looking back. I mean, all the doctors there were very nice, were friendly, were kind, and they were sorry, good teachers. And if anyone is asking for any personal recommendations, I would say that 37 is one of the best hospitals you can actually go to. per my experience and per
Oh,
the doctors that I've worked with. So yeah, I would say that's basically my on the
let's tell us,
positive.
tell us. We want to give you 1 minute and give like 1 minute, 30 minutes to our people, 30 seconds to our people to ask you the question. So in 1 minute, what will you tell students out there, medical school students, and tell us your favorite quote?
Okay, so for the foreign train, I'm going to focus more on the foreign trains and medical students because we are more or less looked down upon when we come and when we are practicing. I would say that look, it is not as bad as you think it is. You can do it. Just study. It is difficult, but just study. That's basically what I can say, honestly.
Okay.
Just steady. It is
So
difficult. You can do it.
the word is
Just steady.
just steady, just steady,
Just
just
steady.
steady.
Just
Okay.
steady. Yes.
So
Just.
I'm going to give people the chance to ask Kwame. I'm going to give 5 people the chance to ask Kwame
Oh
something
wow. Okay.
about Kwame.
That's good.
I know Dr.
That's
Reggie has been waiting. Dr. Abigail has been waiting. There are so many people waiting to ask Dr. Kwame a question. So let's see who wants to shoot. Let's say, okay, Dr. Hulu is here. He also wants to ask you a question. So come on, Reggie says barbecue this weekend. What do you think?
okay, Dr. Ezi. This weekend. Don't worry. We'll talk. We'll talk. We'll talk. Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me backstage. We'll pick something up.
All right, so we are just waiting. Any question for Dr. Kwame? Dr. Kwame. And apparently I realized that I heard you just graduated yesterday. You had an online graduation yesterday.
Yes.
Congrats.
Yes. 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 So I'm now officially a MBBS holder. So
I
you
see.
can fix doctor to my name. Yeah,
All
I
right.
just need a license. So you can fix
Sure.
doctor to my name.
They say talk about your challenges. 30 seconds. Challenges in the
Okay,
hospital.
so some of the challenges I met in the hospital, for me, it was the early start. The early start. I was not in even though we're going to class early and all that. I mean, it was really really early because I had to wake up as early as 4:30 a.m. every day.
So sorry everybody, we had some problem with our connections and I'm sure Dr. Kwame will be with us soon. So we are waiting for Dr. Kwame. I'm sure he'll be with us soon. I think at Dr. Andraina is here. We are just waiting. Dr. Andraina, Dr. Tetteh said, just steady, just steady. Steady. Abigail is back. Dr. Abigail is back. Dr. Reginald is holding on. Super. We are just waiting for Dr. Kwame to come back to us. So we are waiting for Dr. Kwame. We are just waiting for him. We are waiting for him. We are just waiting for him. Abigail is asking me, why are you in the car? Abigail, I've been sacked from home. I've been sacked. I accept having sacked. I've been sacked from my house.
I don't like.
Oh, we are sorry. We are
Hello,
sorry.
hello, hello.
Our
Yes.
network.
So yeah, the network. I think we had some issues. Yes. So I was saying one of my challenges was waking up early to be able to get to the hospital on time to be able to start work. Aside that, I realized that we were under-resourced, understaffed, and it made work pretty difficult because there was so much pressure all the time. At one point in the emergency department, We didn't have plaster. Plaster. We didn't have plaster. And we had to set IV lines for at least 10 patients that day who came into the emergency room. And we didn't have plaster to secure the IV lines, the cannulas. I mean, at another point, we didn't have cotton. And you realize that some of the nurses or the staff, the doctors, they have to use their own monies to secure some of these items and then use them on patients, you know. And I hear people who come up with so many stories that oh, doctors in Ghana are heartless and we just kill people and blah blah blah. I mean, it's sometimes it's disheartening, it's disappointing because medical officers, doctors, nurses, staff, we do a lot to help our patients. Mm, so these were a few of them. There were no places to actually comfortably sit because you always had to be on your feet. So it's like those chairs to rest were not necessary because the moment you get to work, you are working until you leave. There's nothing like rest. So you didn't have adequate restrooms to accommodate the large number of hospital staff. So you had to do more or less like one shift. Oh, my maintenance kakra. We are not maintenance kakra. Naturally, yeah, swap is because ejimano aboho essay. Um, then also another challenge that I faced was combining our program in Tech 7. We have the theory side and then the clinical practice side, combining the two. Because sometimes you'd have to miss clinical practice to attend theory. Sometimes you'd have to miss theory to attend clinicals. And I think if they find a better way to structure the whole program outline, it would be better. These were a few of the challenges that I can talk about. Yeah.
Dr. Kwame, I think Reginald asked the nice question. He's saying he's asking, "Are you single?" That's what Reggie is asking. Me, I'm not asking those questions.
Why is Reggie trying to put me on the spot? But the answer is at the moment, it depends on who is asking.
Okay, Dr.
It
Reginald is
depends on who is asking.
Dr. Reginald is asking.
It depends.
Dr.
No,
Reginald,
no. I mean, what I mean by it depends on who's asking is in the sense that I may be single to somebody. I may not be single to somebody. So
okay,
it depends on who's
okay.
asking. So let's just say.
Everyone is watching. We are watching. We are listening. So
Oh yes, yes, yes. So
do you have?
I don't want to commit myself.
Okay, sure, sure. Dr. Reginald, he says he doesn't want to commit himself. He doesn't want to commit himself. All right, so guys, this is where we end the show. It's my life in medical school, and thank you, Dr. Kwame Atterh. He's an amazing doctor, actually.
Thank you too for having me. Thank you for having me.
All right, so thank you, audience. To next week, we're going to have someone so super, super. This time around, I'm just hoping to bring a lady on board. Bring a lady on board.
That
I'm
would be
sure Kwame
nice. That
will
would
have
be nice
a
to
whole
watch.
package of questions for the person. All right,
Oh
so
yes, yes.
are you sure?
If it's who I think it is, I'll have a lot of questions.
Okay, sure, sure. All right, guys, thank you so much. And it's a Friday. It's a Friday. It's a COVID Friday. So I'm sure we can
It's a
add to
coming
our normal
Friday.
time.
Stay indoors. Be safe.
Exactly. So stay with your family and stay safe. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much. And all the best.
All right. All the best.